Okay, yes, you're welcome back. And now we're taking a look at security. Less than 3 weeks after a bus station in Nyanya, a suburb of the Federal Capital Territory, was hit by a bomb blast. Another bomb ripped through the same neighborhood, resulting in the death of at least 19, according to the police. We were watching Frank Mba last night, and it's being repeated this morning. And it's said to have about 66 others were injured, and this is fueling fears that the two successive attacks in Abuja might be politically motivated. That's what some people say. And others are saying, let's deal with what the issues are. This is happening, and let us deal with it as a terror attack. Nobody is aware of a situation where you can say the terror attack in America or anywhere else in the world is politically motivated. But in Nigeria, there are dimensions to everything, because as Alero and I would always say, we are a peculiar people. And things are not always the way they seem. The conversation this morning on our focus on security will have with us, I'll start with Reverend Laddie Thompson of the Conflict Resolution. He's a conflict resolution consultant. Good morning, Reverend.
The pleasure is mine.
And then, of course, we have Captain Ali Umar, who's a security expert. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Thank you.
Let me start with you, because this situation that we have at hand, Captain, how do we begin to sift through what is true and what is a lie, or what is being a fiction and imagination of other people, and also to look through what some people want to put in a small cocoon and call it is political? You're a security expert. Do you have a view, an understanding of this that leads to a situation where it could be anything other than what it is?
Thank you. I like the use of the word sift there. How do we begin to sift through? And I'll put it aptly. A terror attack is a terror attack is a terror attack. You see, the politics, the cultural, the religious perspective to it are, in my opinion, excuses. And if you know our unique, or is it peculiar way of seeing things, as you said, we are gradually becoming a nation of excuses. We just make excuses and move on. Having said that, I want to also say, from my position as an analyst, what I see, the trend I have been able to observe from the little information I collate, is there is really no doubt regarding the capacity or the capability of our security agencies to handle this situation. But then there is a challenge, and that challenge can only be surmounted when we begin to infuse a measure of imagination, some measure of innovation and metacognition into how we do things. Let me explain that. Those are large sounding words. You don't use a fishing net to catch flies. They'll just pass right through your net. The stereotypes, the doctrines that were used to give us resounding successes in all the places our security agencies have performed. Gambia, Liberia, Sierra Leone, Bosnia, Herzegovina, I can keep mentioning them. Those stereotypes cannot apply to the present situation. It's like using a fishing net, which will actually get you so much fish, and now you want to use the same net to catch flies. They're going to pass right through. So we've got to customize our security strategies to the situation at hand. And to do that, we need a lot of imagination.
Okay. All right. We will come to the details of how we begin to do that. Let me take the same question to you. When we look at the entire situation we have at hand, and like Captain Umar said, when you say it's not something you can describe as political, is it?
Well, let me take off from where Captain Umar, I like the way he put it together. But let me sum it up in one single word that is being used all over the world to handle this kind of challenge. The word is concatenation.
Okay.
You see, until we understand how to concatenate in Nigeria, what you have said from the media that could this be political, could be that. In reality, we are yet in Nigeria to define what the problem is. And if we were to define the problem, if I want to do us a little favor this morning, we'd look at the fact that there is a line that connects all the dots. The bombings in Nyanya, the kidnappings of the girls, nothing new about it. I serve as the special advisor to the president of CAN in the area of counterterrorism. Our constituency has been the first in the line of attack for the past 20, 30 years. We probably have more information, probably have more experience, because we were the first in the line of attack. Now, what we need to let the nation know is that we need to stop all this guesswork. This is a global phenomenon. It's not a local one. What is this thing actually? This thing actually is, watch this, is socio-economic, religious, traditional, judicial, militaristic. I can add a few more words. Machinery that cloaks itself with religion. And the truth about this is that the only peculiarity about the Nigerian situation, what you're watching, what is playing out in Nigeria has played out in many nations before us. It's just that our responses, like he said, we're trying to resort to the ancient military tactics. In fact, even when you quote your statistics, in the military there's what we call blanketing information and all that. It does not work with this one. So we need to learn how to concatenate quickly. And then secondly, more important of all, I think about 2 and 3 years ago, I gave an interview that was on the headlines. I did say that the sitting president is a wartime president. It has just taken Nigeria a long time to come to terms with the fact that we are at war. And the truth is, if I've been on TV stations in the past 10, 12 years saying this same thing year after year. And the point really is, if we don't get serious about this again, we'll be here again for a few more months, a few more years until it hits these areas. And then people will try to get serious too late. So we must admit that Nigeria is at war. It's a different type of war. It's a new type of war. The people involved in this warfare don't wear uniforms. It's a mixture of guerrilla tactics, and the major instrument is the use of fear. You see, the holding of those girls, what you don't know is that it's based on a model. It's predictable, it can be tracked, we have been tracking it. We don't see any reason why the nation will not stand up and understand that the first thing the president of this nation needs to do is to put together a machinery that stamps out fear. Because the major...
What kind of machinery?
Exactly. What kind of machinery, and then how do you stamp out the fear?
Well, quickly, I would say that we can only do a few things on this program as we share and just touch on one or two
Maybe
things.
just summaries of
Yes.
it.
You're dealing with a very, very serious issue. First of all, the Nigerian peculiarity is that we have a mixture of two things. A global resurgence that had been documented from the 1977 upwards. It has mixed itself with an ancient strain that has been with us for about 200 years. It has always been there, it never went away, but it was minimal. It has always been creeping up, but when it now mixed with the global expression, the global resurgence, the sophistication from the global arena came into Nigeria, and that's why we have seen an upsurge in recent years. So in order to handle this, first of all, there are certain actions, there's a certain approach that the nation has to adopt. I call it direct intervention. First of all, let me say this to you, the president of the nation needs to demonstrate to this country, first, that the life of every citizen is much more important than the political ambitions of the entire political force in Nigeria. As a matter of fact,